Hi, I'm Sarah Mitchell, 38 years old, a financial consultant living in Boise, Idaho. Everything I have, my career, my home, my peace, I built from the ground up, with no handouts, no shortcuts. But last month, in the middle of a hectic client meeting, my phone buzzed on the conference table, pulling me out of my focus. I glanced down, expecting a work email or a quick text from a friend. Instead, it was my little brother, Liam, 20 years old, with a message that made my stomach drop. Hey Sarah, I need $3,500 for a new laptop. It's for my startup project. Send it over, okay? $3,500 for a laptop. For a project he'd barely mentioned before. I sat there, frozen, my jaw tight. I could feel the eyes of my colleagues on me as I typed back, my fingers shaking with irritation. Liam, that's a lot of money. Get a part-time job and save up for it. I hit send, thinking that would be the end of it. But minutes later, my phone lit up again. This time it was my mom. Her words hit like a punch. Pay for your brother's laptop, Sarah, or don't bother calling yourself part of this family. My dad's text followed, short and cold. Do what's right, Sarah. My heart was pounding. For years I'd been sending them money, thinking it was for emergencies, bills, groceries, keeping their heads above water. But this was a demand to bankroll my brother's latest whim, or they'd cut me out. I felt a mix of anger and something deeper, something that hurt more. A sinking realization that maybe my family had been using me for a lot longer than I'd ever wanted to admit. That night, I couldn't sleep. I paced my apartment, replaying their words over and over. Lose this family. Do what's right. I'd spent my whole life trying to do right by them, sending thousands of dollars, thinking I was helping. But now their threat felt like a line in the sand. I sat down, staring at my phone, my finger hovering over the banking app. Something in me snapped. I wasn't going to let this slide. By the next morning, my world had flipped upside down. And soon after, I uncovered a truth so shocking it changed everything I thought I knew about my family. If you've ever felt this kind of pressure from the people you love, I want to hear about it. Drop your story in the comments below. I'd love to know how you handled it. And stick around, because there's more to this than a laptop and a family fight. I'm going to share the whole story, and trust me, you won't believe what I found out. Before I get to that, let me take you back to where this all started. To understand why Liam's text hit me so hard, you need to know about my family, about the years I spent building a life on my own while they leaned on me, took from me, and made me feel like I was never enough. If this sounds familiar, if you've ever felt like you're carrying more than your share, keep listening. This is for you. I've always believed that hard work is the only way forward. Growing up in Boise, Idaho, in a middle-class family, I learned early on that nothing comes for free. At least not for me. My name's Sarah Mitchell, and by the time I was 16, I was bussing tables at a local diner, saving every penny for college. My parents, Ellen and Robert, didn't have much to spare, but what they did have, they poured into my little brother, Liam. He was born when I was 18, a late addition to the family, and from the moment he arrived, he was their golden child. Their second chance, they called him. I don't resent Liam for being born, but I couldn't help noticing how differently we were treated. While I was working weekends to buy textbooks, my parents were buying Liam the latest gadgets, new phones, gaming consoles, you name it. They threw him over-the-top birthday parties, complete with bounce houses and catered food, even when their bank account was running on fumes. Their house, a fixer-upper in the suburbs of Boise, was always falling apart. Leaky roof, busted pipes, but instead of saving for repairs, they'd splurge on Liam's whims. A $500 jacket for a middle schooler, a $1,000 drone for his hobby. My mom, Ellen, was the one who called the shots. She'd say, Liam's young, let him have his fun. My dad, Robert, quieter but just as enabling, would nod along, never questioning her. Meanwhile, I was grinding through college, juggling 2 jobs, waitressing and tutoring to cover tuition. By 25, I'd landed my first financial consulting gig. By 30, I was advising major clients, living in a cozy apartment I'd bought with my own savings. No help, no handouts. I was proud of that. But my parents, they saw me as their lifeline. About 5 years ago, I set up a joint family account to help them out. I thought it was the right thing to do. They'd call sometimes, saying the electric bill was overdue or the car needed repairs. "Just a little help, Sarah," my mum would say, her voice soft but urgent. So I'd transfer money, $500 here, $1,000 there, thinking I was keeping them afloat. I was too busy with work to check the account closely. I trusted them. That was my mistake. Liam, though, grew up expecting the world on a silver platter. At 20, he's obsessed with the idea of being a tech entrepreneur, but he's never held a job longer than a month. My parents fed into it, paying for his coding classes, his fancy software subscriptions, even his trips to networking events in California. They'd say, "He's our future, Sarah. He's going to make it big." I'd smile, bite my tongue, and keep working. Looking back, I see the red flags I ignored. My mum's vague excuses about unexpected expenses. The way Liam would show up in new sneakers or a designer backpack while I was still driving the same beat-up sedan from college. I remember asking my mum for $100 once, back when I was 17, for a school trip. "Figure it out, Sarah," she snapped. But when Liam wanted $200 for concert tickets at 15, she didn't blink. I've spent my whole life proving I don't need them. I built a career I love, a life I'm proud of. But somehow, I'm still the one they turn to when the bills pile up. The one they expect to fix everything. That joint account I set up, I thought it was for necessities. Groceries, utilities, the basics. I didn't realise how wrong I was until Liam's text about that $3,500 laptop. Growing up, I'd hear my mum's voice, sharp and dismissive whenever I needed help. "You're strong, Sarah, you'll manage." But for Liam, they'd drop everything. I still remember his 10th birthday, a $3,000 superhero-themed extravaganza, complete with a custom cake and a rented arcade machine. That same month, I was working double shifts to pay for my college textbooks. My dad once said, "Liam's our chance to do things right." It hurt, but I swallowed it. Kept pushing forward. Liam's demands only got bolder as he got older. A new phone every year. A $1,500 business course he never finished. My parents never said no, even when their savings were drained. I thought I was helping by setting up that account, but now I wonder what they were really doing with it. All those years, I was the responsible one, the one cleaning up their messes. Yet somehow when I said no to Liam's laptop, I became the villain. That day, when my phone kept buzzing with their texts, I felt something shift inside me. Liam's demand wasn't just about a laptop. It was about years of being taken for granted, of being the one who always had to give. I sat in my office, staring at my phone, the weight of their words sinking in. Lose this family. Do what's right. I'd spent my life doing what they thought was right. But this time, I wasn't so sure I could keep doing it. That Tuesday afternoon, after Liam's text and my parents' ultimatum, I was trying to focus on a client report, but my mind was spiralling. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. First it was Liam again, his message sharp and entitled. "You're really going to ruin this for me, Sarah?" "It's just a laptop. Send the $3,500, my blood boiled." "Just a laptop?" I typed back, my fingers trembling. "You're 20, Liam. Get a job like I did." I hit send, expecting him to fire back with some whining reply. Instead, he called. His voice was loud, dripping with arrogance. "You're so selfish, Sarah. It's for my startup. You don't get how important this is." I gripped my phone, forcing myself to stay calm. "Important," I said. "You want me to drop $3,500 for a laptop you'll probably use for gaming?" "Work for it, Liam." He scoffed, his tone turning venomous. "You don't care about me. You never have." Before I could respond, he hung up, leaving me staring at a blank screen, my heart pounding. Care about him? I'd spent years sending money to our parents, thinking it was keeping our family together. The unfairness hit me like a wave. I remembered begging my mum for $75 for a school jacket when I was 17. "We can't afford it, Sarah," she'd snapped. But Liam? He got a $1,000 phone for his 16th birthday without even asking. I tried to push it out of my mind, to focus on work, but then my mum's voice came through a voicemail. She hadn't meant to send it, but there it was. "Robert, Liam's upset," she said, her tone frantic. "Tell Sarah to pay for the laptop. She owes us." Owes them. The words burned in my chest. I'd sent them thousands over the years, $2,000 for their mortgage one year, $1,500 for emergency repairs, countless smaller transfers for bills. And now they were acting like I was the one letting them down. My dad's text came next, cold and direct. "Pay for the laptop, Sarah. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." I read it again, my hands shaking. Harder for who? I'd given them everything, and they were threatening to cut me out over a laptop. Something felt wrong, deeper than Liam's tantrum or my parents' threats. This wasn't just about $3,500, it felt calculated. I called Liam back, trying to keep my voice steady. "Why is this such a big deal?" I asked. "It's just a laptop." His response was sharp, almost rehearsed. "Ask Mom and Dad, they said you'd cover it." "It's my future, my future." I nearly laughed at the absurdity. "You don't have a right to my money," I said. He screamed, "You're ruining everything!" and hung up again. I sat there, my pulse racing, replaying every call from my mom, every vague excuse about needing a little help. "We're struggling. Sarah," she'd say, her voice always too quick, too smooth. My dad's rare calls always ended the same. "Can you send something over?" I'd never questioned it, too caught up in my work, too trusting of family. But now their threats felt like a script they'd run too many times. Then, late that afternoon, my inbox pinged with a bank notification. The subject line stopped me cold. Large transaction alert. I opened it and my heart sank. A $7,000 transfer had gone out that morning from our joint family account, without my approval. $7,000 to where? I'd set up that account to help with their bills, not to fund mysterious withdrawals. My mind flashed to Liam's laptop demand, my parents' quick threats. This wasn't a coincidence. I called Liam immediately, my voice firm. "What's going on with the family account?" He was evasive, his tone sharp. "I don't know, Sarah. Ask Mom and Dad." I pressed harder. $7,000 just disappeared. "You know anything about it?" He laughed, a cold, dismissive sound. "You're overreacting. It's probably nothing." Then he hung up, leaving me fuming. He wasn't just dodging. He was hiding something. I couldn't sit still. My gut told me this was bigger than a laptop. I needed answers, and I knew my family wouldn't give them to me. That's when I texted Rachel, a colleague and accountant who worked a few desks down at my firm. "Can we meet? It's urgent." She replied within seconds, suggesting her office after hours. By 6 p.m., I was sitting across from Rachel, her desk cluttered with spreadsheets and coffee cups. I spilled everything. Liam's demand, my parents' threats, the $7,000 alert. "Something's wrong with the family account," I said, my voice tight. "I need to know what they're doing." Rachel nodded, her eyes focused. "Let's pull the records," she said, logging into the bank's portal with the credentials I gave her. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, and within minutes she found a trail of transactions I hadn't seen in years. "Sarah," she said, her brow furrowing, "there are dozens of large withdrawals here." My stomach twisted. "Large like what?" I asked. She scrolled through the list. "Payments to creditors, credit card companies, even a tech retailer. And, wait, this is weird." She paused, her expression darkening. "There's a series of transfers to a loan company. A big one, a loan company." My heart sank deeper. "What kind of loan?" I asked, leaning forward. Rachel kept digging, pulling up statements from the past 3 years. "It looks like your parents took out a $150,000 loan," she said. "They've been using your money to make payments on it." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. A loan? They'd never mentioned a loan. All those calls about emergencies and rough months, I'd believed they were for necessities. Then came the twist that broke me. Rachel pointed to a document linked to the loan. "Sarah, this isn't just any loan," she said, her voice low. "Your parents signed it to fund Liam's startup, some tech app that never launched. And here's the worst part, the account is in your name too. If they default, you could be on the hook for it." I stared at her, my mind reeling. Not only had they been draining my money for Liam's dream, but they'd tied me to a loan that could ruin me. $150,000 for a failed app. I thought back to their calls, their excuses. "We're struggling. Just a little help." They weren't just funding Liam's lifestyle, they were hiding his failure, using my money to keep it quiet. And now I could lose everything, my savings, my home, if they didn't pay it back. Rachel looked at me, her face serious. "Sarah, you need to act fast. This could drag you down with them." I left her office feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. Betrayal didn't even cover it. My parents hadn't just lied, they'd put my future at risk. Liam's laptop demand wasn't about a computer. It was about keeping their house of cards from collapsing. I drove home, my hands gripping the wheel, the truth sinking in. They'd used me not just for money, but to cover up their mess. I wasn't just their safety net, I was their scapegoat. The truth about that $150,000 loan hit me like a freight train. My parents hadn't just been using my money to prop up Liam's dreams, they'd tied my name to their mess, putting my entire future at risk. I couldn't sleep that night. My apartment, usually my safe haven, felt suffocating. I kept replaying Rachel's words. If they default, you could be on the hook. My savings, my home, everything I'd worked for could be wiped out because of their lies. I knew I had to act. The next morning, Wednesday, I called the bank. My voice was steady, but my heart was racing. "I need to close the joint account," I told the representative. It took 10 minutes. 10 minutes to unravel years of trust I'd placed in my family. Each step felt like cutting a rope that had been strangling me for too long. When it was done, the account was frozen. No more transfers. No more lies. I sat back, staring at my phone, feeling a strange mix of relief and dread. I opened my laptop and drafted an email to my parents and Liam. I kept it short, cold, and clear. "The joint account is closed. I know about the $1 to $20,000 you took. I know about the loan for Liam's startup. No more money. We're done." I hit send, my hand steady but my chest heavy. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about trust, or the lack of it. They'd betrayed me, and I was done being their safety net. Within hours, my phone exploded. Liam called first, his voice a mix of panic and rage. "You can't do this, Sarah," he shouted. "We need that account." I stayed calm, though my pulse was pounding. "Need it for what?" I asked. "More failed apps? More lies?" He sputtered, his anger breaking through. "You're tearing this family apart." Then he hung up, leaving my ears ringing. Tearing them apart? I'd spent years holding them together. My mum's text came next, a wall of words dripping with guilt. "How dare you accuse us, Sarah? We needed that money to survive." "You're so selfish. Survive." "On tech courses and designer clothes for Liam." My dad's message was shorter, but it cut just as deep. "Think about what you're doing to us, Sarah." I didn't reply. Their words felt hollow, rehearsed, like they'd been ready to play the victim all along. I knew I couldn't let this go unanswered. I needed to face them, to lay it all bare. So the next day, I drove to their house in the suburbs of Boise. My hands gripped the steering wheel, a folder of bank records and loan documents tucked beside me. Rachel had printed them out, every transaction a piece of proof, $120,000 siphoned from my account, payments to creditors, tech retailers, and that secret loan for Liam's app. The weight of what I was about to do pressed against my chest. I walked into their living room, the air thick with tension. My mum sat on the couch, her arms crossed, her eyes already glaring. My dad stood by the kitchen door, his face hard, unreadable. Liam slouched in a recliner, staring at his phone, refusing to meet my gaze. I didn't waste time. I know everything, I said, dropping the folder onto the coffee table. The account I set up to help you. You took $120,000. You hid a $150,000 loan for Liam's startup, and you tied my name to it. I spread the documents out. Bank statements, loan agreements, proof of their spending. Payments to credit card companies, tech stores, even a $4,000 transfer to a startup consultant for Liam. My mum's face twisted, but not with guilt. How dare you dig into our business? She snapped, her voice shaking. This is family, Sarah. Family. The word felt like a slap. Family doesn't lie to each other, I said, my voice steady despite the anger burning inside. You said it was for bills, for survival. Instead, you funded his dreams and your debts. I pointed at Liam, who still wouldn't look up. My dad stepped forward, his tone sharp. You don't understand, Sarah. We had no choice. Liam's going to make it big. We needed to invest in him. Invest? I stared at him, stunned. I sent you thousands every year, I said. And you used it to cover a loan you never told me about. A loan that could ruin me. My mum cut in, tears streaming down her face. We did this for Liam's future. You're too selfish to see it. I glanced at Liam, waiting for him to say something, anything. An apology, an explanation. But he just sat there, silent, his face blank, letting our parents fight his battle. That silence hurt more than their words. He wasn't just entitled. He was complicit. My dad's voice grew louder. You can't walk away from us, Sarah. We're your family. You owe us. Owe them. The audacity made my throat burn. I don't owe you anything, I said, my voice rising for the first time. I closed the account. No more money. You're on your own. My mom gasped, clutching her chest like I'd stabbed her. You're abandoning us, she cried. Liam finally looked up, his eyes flashing with panic, but he said nothing. I held their gazes, refusing to back down. You abandoned me first, I said. You used my trust, my savings, my future. The room erupted. My mom shouted about loyalty. My dad accused me of betrayal. Liam just sat there, mute, as if none of this was his fault. I gathered the documents, my hands shaking with a mix of rage and relief. I'm done, I said, walking to the door. Their voices followed me, a mix of anger and desperation, but I didn't look back. I'd given them a chance to explain, and all I got was blame. This was the end. Walking out of my parents' house that day, I felt like I'd left a piece of myself behind. Not the best parts, but the parts that had been tied to their expectations, their demands, their lies. I got in my car, the folder of bank records still heavy on the passenger seat, and drove back to my apartment in Boise. The silence was deafening, but it was also freeing. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying their weight. That night, I made my final decision. I opened my phone and blocked my parents' numbers. My mum's, my dad's, Liam's. Each tap felt like severing a chain I'd been dragging my whole life. It hurt, God, it hurt, but it also felt like taking my power back. I filtered their emails to spam, closed the banking app for good, and sat in the quiet of my apartment. The constant buzz of their calls, their guilt trips, their demands, it was gone. I could breathe again. Months passed, and I started hearing bits and pieces through a cousin who still talked to my family. My parents were drowning. That $150,000 loan for Liam's failed startup, combined with their credit card debt and other loans, had pushed them over the edge. They filed for bankruptcy not long after I cut them off. Their house in the suburbs of Boise, the one they'd always said was almost paid off, was foreclosed. I pictured my mum crying as movers hauled away their furniture, my dad staring blankly out the window. Part of me ached for them. They were my parents, after all. But another part felt nothing. They'd built this mess, using my money to delay the inevitable. I'd given them chances and they'd thrown them away. Liam faced his own reality check. Without my parents' handouts, or mine, he had to grow up fast. My cousin mentioned he'd taken a job at a coffee shop downtown, steaming lattes and wiping down counters. The kid who thought a $3,500 laptop was his birthright was now clocking in for minimum wage. I imagined him standing there, apron on, learning what it means to earn something. I didn't feel triumph, just a bittersweet relief. Maybe, just maybe, he'd start to understand what I'd tried to tell him. As for me, I found a new kind of peace. The silence where their demands used to be, it gave me space to focus on my life. My career as a financial consultant was thriving. I started saving again, rebuilding the nest egg they'd drained. But more than that, I started seeing a therapist. Those sessions were hard. Unpacking years of manipulation, of feeling like I was never enough, took time. I had to face the guilt I'd carried for saying no, for walking away. But I also learned to forgive myself. I wasn't the villain in this story. I was just someone who'd tried to help, who'd trusted too much. Through therapy, I realized something profound. Family isn't about obligation. It's not a contract that says you owe them your security, your savings, your future. Love shouldn't come with a price tag. I'd spent years thinking I had to save them, that their problems were mine to fix. I was wrong. Setting boundaries, closing that account, walking out of their house wasn't selfish. It was survival. It was me choosing myself, maybe for the first time. If you're out there, caught in a cycle like this, I want you to hear me. You don't owe anyone your peace. Not your parents, not your siblings, not anyone. Protecting yourself isn't betrayal, it's strength. It's saying, I deserve better, and you do. I wish I'd learned that sooner, but standing here now, I'm grateful I did. I'm not perfect, and I'm still healing, but I'm free. Free from their chaos, their lies, their hold on me. This journey taught me something else too, a lesson I carry every day. Sometimes the hardest choices are the ones that save you. Walking away doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you love yourself enough to let go of what's hurting you. I hope, wherever you are, you find the courage to make those choices too. Thank you for listening to my story. It's been a tough road, sharing it out loud like this, but it's helped me heal in ways I didn't expect. If any of this resonates with you, if you've ever had to set boundaries with family, drop your story in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you found your strength. And if this spoke to you, hit that subscribe button. There's more to come. Real stories, raw moments, and lessons we're all learning together. Your support means the world to me. Let's keep this conversation going.